Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna just cut straight to the chase here. As you saw in the title, we're gonna be covering the Alabama Crimson Tide versus Texas A&M Aggies and LSU versus Missouri. So first of all, let's get straight to the chase. I want to talk about Alabama versus Texas A&M. So obviously, you got Jalen Milroe here. He's at 838 yards for six touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And Wigman for Texas A&M has 979 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So both quarterbacks coming in, they are not uh, uh, they are not immune to mistake. They have each seem shaky when it comes down to big games. But in terms of Jalen Milroe, he is definitely the more talented quarterback in my opinion. He can run. He's fast. He's really, really fast. And his arm, despite what you want to say about his mistakes and his accuracy, you can have no doubt he has the distance. His arm can throw that football way down the field. He has a good arm, and I believe Jalen Milroe, if he can get his act together in his decision making, he will be one of the best He can be one of the best QBs in college football. However, he has to get over that mistake, and this game will show if he's able to do so. Because Texas A&M, for them, the plan is simple for the defense, and Texas A&M has a pretty decent defense. In the SEC, in their last few games, they allowed 3 points, 10 points, and 22, which was last week. But their defense has been solid, and of course, before that Miami lost, they only allowed 10 points. Of course, those were against nobody teams. And we can't gloss over the Hurricanes' loss. I mean, 48 points put up by the Hurricanes against that Texas A&M Aggies defense. So that is definitely a sign to put out. And of course, Alabama, they have been just as good, if not better. And their only game, and of course that game against Texas, they allowed 34 points, yes, but it was in the fourth quarter where the majority of those points were scored, where eventually that Bama defense could no longer hold out against Texas, who themselves have a really good offense. So both defenses coming in strong. Both defenses been doing good performance-wise. Of course, the offense for Texas A&M, if you want to look at, they put up 34 points last week against Arkansas, and Alabama put up 40 against Mississippi State. So both offenses, they can click. Both sides, both offenses have talent and good wide receivers. However, I believe Alabama has the edge over Texas A&M. However, we have to also remember this. This game will take place this will be a home game for the Aggies. This will be Kyle Field. This will be in Texas A&M territory. This will be a road game for the Crimson Tide. So it will be a very, very hard game for the Crimson Tide on the road. And as we've seen the past 2 seasons on the road, Alabama seems to struggle. They've struggled at home, of course, but more so on the road against SEC caliber opponents. And as we know, 2 years ago, Alabama came down to this stadium and lost to the Texas A&M Aggies. And I want to say, and I believe this Alabama Crimson Tide team is nowhere near the same as they were 2 years ago in a bad way. 2 years ago, they had Bryce Young, Jameson Williams, and Mechie, and others. And they do not have those guys now. That team has gotten that team back then was better than the team Alabama has now, and they still lost back then. And of course, Texas A&M is not the same team either. That was 2 years ago for them too. However, they have a very similar caliber team in terms of how they're built and their play style. So this could very easily go for Texas A&M and be a win for them, which would be a very big win because what's at stake is if Texas A&M wins, they go above Alabama in the West and will be first in the Western SEC. So that is what is at stake here, and if Texas A&M can do that, then they're all of a sudden favorites to go to Atlanta to represent the West. So in terms of my score prediction, I believe Alabama will come out with the win. So it will be Alabama 35, Texas A&M 24. I believe both offenses will be able to get good numbers against the defenses, despite how good these defenses have been hyped up, how much they've been hyped up coming up to this game. I just believe Alabama has more firepower. They'll be able to bypass Texas A&M defense. They'll be able to put up good points. I mean, we saw the Hurricanes put up 48. I don't think it'll be like that. However, I do believe Alabama has the quality talent on the offense to put up 35 points, which is why I'm going to say 35 to 24. Alabama Crimson Tide come out of Kyle Field with a win, and we'll go 5-1. Meanwhile, the Texas A&M Aggies will go 4-2, and Alabama will remain favorites to win the West. And now for the LSU Tigers versus the Missouri Tigers, the Tiger Bowl. Except this ain't really going to be a Tiger Bowl because I believe that this game, despite the records, will be an easy win for the LSU Tigers. This will not be a competitive bowl game. I understand this game is in Missouri. I understand it's a Memorial Stadium, or I understand Missouri will be the home team. They are undefeated. However, I believe LSU simply has better caliber players than the Missouri Tigers do, and I do not smell an upset here in this game. So I believe the Tigers that will be coming out of a win, that will be coming out of this game with the win, will be the LSU Tigers. And of course, I'm not gonna go into the stats for this game. This game is really only relevant in terms of the fact that these are two ranked teams, and the Missouri Tigers are undefeated, 5-0. So there's a little bit of hype for them there. However, despite that hype, I believe that hype ends now, and they will lose this game, fall to the LSU Tigers, and LSU will come out with the win and will be able to put up 38 points against the Missouri Tigers, and the Missouri Tigers will only be able to put up 21 points. So final score for this game will be 38-21. That is my score prediction for LSU and Missouri. LSU 38, Missouri 21.